Good morning, Andy Shrimpton here of Gaatech.com, and welcome to another Blue Box series. It's been a little while. I do apologise to my subscribers. I have been incredibly busy, which isn't a bad thing. So what we've got on the work table today is a radio controlled motorbike stand which can take two bikes, and the bikers who have been following me and asked me to make these stands will know all about them. For others that aren't interested in motorbike stands, you may want to turn off now, but this is all about radio controlled motorbikes. And this is a stand that they asked me to design and develop, and once it's assembled it takes two bikes. One bike is held by its rear wheel to stand upright on your work table, and the other bike is placed on the stand so the wheels are off the ground, and you can put tyre warmers, and this is a little thermostatically controlled tyre warming module. Anyway, we're going to start assembling. I've only ever assembled one of these, so we're just going to assemble it and see how we get on. It's a little bit fiddly in places, but I believe I know the easiest way to assemble it. So let's get started. So in the blue box you're going to have 4 plates. We'll come back to those. You get a length of U-channel rubber mount. You get a length of black rubber hose and some screws. Now when you get the kit, you obviously get enough screws, enough spaces to do it. I've just put a bag of screws in this box and I've got some spaces, but yours will all be in plastic bags, just enough for you. So you've got 4 plates here. So this is what I call the back plate, or number 4 plate. This one is the number 3 plate. Now this is the one with just the square cut out. This is the number 2 plate with the extra cutouts in the corners, and that will become clear what they're for when we start assembling. And then you have the front plate. So what you've got to think about first of all is, I suppose, which way round you want your stand to be. And I'm going to assemble it this way. So once it's assembled, my bike will, well, I haven't got a bike, but the bike would sit here off the ground. So this is where the bodywork of the bike will sit in the V's, and then the rear wheel will tuck in this way, so your bike will go that way. So let's start assembling. So what you need to first do is get the rubber tube out the box, fold it in half and cut it in half, and then do the same again with the one length. Fold it in half, cut it, fold it in half and cut it. So now we've ended up with 4 bits the same length. So the way I've found easiest is we take the number 2 frame, and it is quite difficult to get these tubes through the big holes. You'll see there's 4 large holes in each section. It is tight, and the reason it's tight is it avoids you having to use glue, and it just gives you a smarter edge. Now I'm going to wiggle these in, he says. I just have to get a little screwdriver, so with a little flat bladed screwdriver. It might be easier if you put these in warm water to just get them started. Gosh. Okay, there's one started. So this is the number 2 stand, and it's going that way. So I'm going to pull that through just under halfway, and I'm going to do the same for all of them. Oh, that was in then. And believe me, this is the hardest bit of assembling the frame, getting these tubes, and these tubes will come clear what they do at the end of the video. I'm just going to try and push it through. These tubes are actually too long. You do trim them off at the end of the day, so they're just going to push that through. Shall we, once we got to the end, we find the best technique. Okay, so there we have the plate with the dog bones, as we call them, with the 4 rubber tubes installed. So now what we're going to do, we're going to get the plate with the squarer hole, and we're going to do the same. We're going to slide these on the rubber tubes. I need to do it this way round. Okay, don't put it through too far at the moment, because it gives you more space to work on to get the other tubes through. See, that one went through easily. I had in my prototypes used larger holes, and then because the tubes went through easy, and then glued the tubes in, but the glue just made I was using cyano, you know, super glue, but it was just making the stand look messy. So it doesn't take long to get these right. So then just pull the tubes through, and what goes in here is the 35mm spacers. So now we're going to get the 35mm spacers, and I'm going to do a PDF of exactly where to put the spacers, but we're going to put the first one in this hole here. So we're just going to push him through, wind it on. And the next one is going to go next to the rubber tube. Then the next one is going to go here next to the rubber tube. And don't be afraid just to bend the frames out the way. So I'm just doing that finger tight at the moment. The next one is going at the top in this hole. So by the time these kits are on sale and the first one's being dispatched, as soon as I've done this assembly, I'm unassembling it to send it out to one of my clients. Then the next one is going to be this one, I believe I designed them. I should know, but been a week or so since I've done these. So then the next one is going in this hole here. I hope I get these in the right order, otherwise it's going to make editing the video quite fun. So then the next one is going to go, let me think about it, that is coming forward at the end. Let me just check that one. Yes, at the far end. So I will be doing, say, do a PDF, and I'll put the, once I've reviewed this video, I will do a sort of PDF instruction. So now I believe we've got all the 35mm spaces in the right place. So before we close it up, we're going to do the 25mm spaces. So if we use the frame where we've got nuts, the 25mm spaces just going to go in the other holes which are empty. I don't drive radio control bikes myself, but it's certainly been interesting going down to see these chaps race, and like any sport really, it's the technicalities behind the sport, you know, selecting the right tyres, using tyre warmers or not using tyre warmers, putting weights on the bike depending what track you're racing around, to make it lean in better. Now what's happened here? That's it, that's fine. So that's that one. So now we're going to put the 25mm spaces on the number 2 frame. Have I done that right? Yes, I have. So you know where the holes are going to take the 35mm. You can actually squeeze these up a bit now by pulling the tubes through. So the holes that are going to be empty are the ones that you put the 25mm ones into. So there should be one here somewhere. So in the middle of the, that's where the wheel's going to sit of the back tyre. And then lastly, right at the end in this one here. So I think that is looking about correct. So now we have the front panel, which is the one like this with the square cutout. So now comes the awkward part again, is getting the rubber tubes through. So just give me a minute, and a minute or two I should say. Okay, you only have to push it through a little bit at this stage, because, and then just pull the rubber tube through if need be to give you a little bit more wiggle room. Okay, that's that one through. So this one needs to come through a bit more. Yeah, the key was when I was trying to assemble these was putting the rubber tubes in first. When I first did it, to make sure the holes were in the right place, I put the rubber tubes in last, and although you could do it, it was really quite difficult and tested your patience. But this way is the easier way. Okay, so you just need the rubber tubes through. So we're actually going to trim these ends off at the end of the day. I've made the tubes longer than you actually need. So now we're going to do is just pull the rubber tubes back little by little, making sure you don't pull out the ends. So, or you could put it forward, it doesn't matter. just so we start getting the frames lining up with the spacers. Okay, that's pretty good. So there we go. So it's all a bit wobbly at the moment, so now we're just going to connect the 25mm spacers. Now before I go any further, the tyre warmer does retrofit, so if you've got a tyre warmer and you know you're going to use it, before you put on the front section you can install the tyre warmer into the front. And obviously all you do to install the tyre warmer, not to insult anybody's intelligence, is you flick up the little ratchet and slide them off. Come on. Come on. So if this was not attached to the frame, it's easier. You can slide that through, and then you would slide these bits back on and push it out the back and it slides in. But I've purposely left it out because some people may want to upgrade to tyre warmers. So I'm leaving it to the end. But say if you've got one and you want it in the frame, before you put the front section on, install the tyre warmer into the front, and you may find that easier. However, if you do install it first, it will stop you having wiggle room. So I would recommend that you don't install the tyre warmer until the end, because it can be retrofitted. So let's now screw up the front section. So just because you're sort of stressing the rubber tubes a bit, just make sure the screws go in straight into the spacers. There's no need to graunch up the which side am I doing? I've lost track of what I'm doing now. And then this front section. There's no need to do the screws up all tight. You can do those at the end. And as you start putting these together, the skeleton structure of the frame really starts coming together, and it is really quite firm. Okay, I've left one. What have I done here? That's right. No, that's wrong. Okay, this one, this 35mm spacer shouldn't be there. That's what's throwing me. Let me take that one off again. Say the PDF details will do it. So we're back looking at the front. So we just need to slide a 25mm spacer in here. Okay, so 25mm, 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 25mm. Okay, so now what we want to do is screw the second frame to the third frame. So just gonna choose one of them. And you know, if anyone finds a better way to assemble these, please do drop me a line, and obviously I can alter the instructions. But it's not rocket science and not quite as hard as a Chinese puzzle, so it shouldn't be too difficult. And like everybody in RC, we're all quite we're all hobbyists, so we all know what we're doing, and we always find a way to overcome a problem. That hole's a little bit tight, so that's giving me a problem. So let me see if that will wiggle through. Yeah, just push it through and it'll go through. So there's my first problem, is getting these 35mm screws done. Okay, so what I'm doing now, I'm holding the screw and winding the spacer back onto it, which has undone that bolt. So just going to do that one back up. Okay, another bolt. So where am I? Down here. So I think that is the way, is to leave all the bolts loose, because it's difficult to get a screwdriver in there. You can hold the nut, do the spacer up, and then as need be do the screw up that's undone itself. Okay, what have we got to do now? This one in here. So pop the screw through. Wind the spacer on with your fingers, and then do the screw up that's come undone. So this one, just gonna push it together because the rubber tubes were keeping it apart. So pop the screw through. I'll do this left, right-handed. So I'm holding the screw head with my finger, just pushing on it, winding the spacer around, which unwinds the screw at the back, and then just nip him up. Okay, I think we've got one more 35mm to do. Yeah, this one just here, which is accessible. So you can just do that bad boy up. Okay, so now I'm just checking the front ones. I've missed one here. I understand this weekend, which is, this is the second weekend, on weekend of July 2016, the boys are racing at Halifax, so the guy who's having this one is taking it off to Halifax. So that is done. I'm just checking I've missed any bolts. They're all done. So now we've got the rear section to do, and again now we've got the rubber tubes to do. So the easiest way now is to pull the rubber tubes back a bit, leaving a good 10mm at the front, otherwise you've got a chance of pulling it out, and you don't really want to be doing that at this stage. So it gives you maximum flexibility of the rubber tubes at the back. So now I want to do it this way round. So these are the last ones. And in my prototypes I didn't have these rubber tubes in the design, which obviously made assembly much easier. But once you see what the tubes are for, I I thought it was a good idea, so that's why I mean, me and the people that I was, well, the people that helped me design them, when I took them down, they said, "Oh yeah, we want this feature." So I thought, okay, yeah, I can do that. And then the rubber tubes were, and I wouldn't say an afterthought, but a design development idea. Okay, you don't need to push these tubes through very far because they do grip well, and the further you push them through, the less wiggle room you get as you come back. So that's why I've made the tubes longer than you actually need, because although this is a little bit awkward, it does, that's better, it does make it easier to install them. Right, last one. And I'm sure if you soak these tubes in hot water, they would go through the holes a lot easier. So if anyone's going to try that, please put a comment on the bottom of the video, and I will add that into the PDF or online instructions. I think if you had a cup of hot water on your desk, like I say, you know, freshly out the kettle, and you dip the ends in. Right, so we're there. Right, so we're there. So I have one more spacer I have left out, so I've left the spacer out here, so this needs another 25mm spacer, because you shouldn't have any holes left in the design other than the ones that are meant to be there, which are the ones on the top plate. You can see the ones on, sorry, the back plate we're now looking at. So these holes are meant to be there. Right, so that's it. So now they're all through and all bolts in. You can just push the tubes through little by little. Okay, what you don't want to do is pull the tubes out of this end. So I'm more sort of pushing the frame onto the tube. Okay, so that's pretty good. Let's install the last of the bolts. There's no need to Loctite these screws. Obviously this is only going to be on the bench, it's not flying, so vibration's not going to come out. And these bike stands work equally for electric or nitro. The nitro boys asked me for one feature which is included, and that will be coming up very shortly. However, the electric boys, once they saw it, they liked it, because we all like an easy life at the end of the day. Wait, that one's on the floor. I'll suck that up with a hoover later. So we're just whizzing round, putting in the last screws. Okay, that is it assembled. So what you need to do now is just make sure the tubes are in but not overstretching, and then we're going to find a sharp knife, which I didn't prepare earlier. Okay, the easiest way I've found with this is with a Stanley blade, but you could use an X-Acto knife or anything like that. So making sure the tubes are not overly stretched, as long as they're poking out the ends, that's okay. And then making sure you cut away from yourself. Just cut the ends off. Oh, let's do it in shot, just cut the ends off. And if you do it in one sort of nice movement, the ends trim off nicely. Yep, just checking sure you can see me. Okay, so let's get rid of those bits in the bin because they look very much like spacers. So, and that's just oil off the blade. So that is all looking. That one's a bit wonky, so that will straighten out fine. Okay, so that's fine. So we can clear the decks a little bit. Let's get rid of these spacers. We don't need those anymore. Don't need those. Don't need the box. Don't need those. Okay, so now in the kit you'll get a strip of U channel. So all you're going to do is on the front and back section of the stand, put the U channel along. Find out. Oh, I need my knife now. Find out where you need to trim it off, which I'm going to. So I'm just in from the corner a little bit there. So I'm going to come in from the corner a little bit there. I'm going to use my scissors. Check that it's the right length, and then you can just pull it off. Cut this one the same. Now you can put a little bit of cyano on the front edge. Again, be careful with your fingers because these are only, I think, 6mm deep, these channels, and it will just stop the channels from falling off in your storage bag, you know, whatever you're storing these frames in. But they do grip quite well. So that's that one, and then one on the other end. Okay, so again you could just peel these back just there, a little bit of cyano just at the end here, and then pop him down. Do that each end and it will just stop the rubber coming off, or you could put dabs of cyano along the whole length of it. And what that does, it obviously stops this mount from skating around your pit table. So the next thing to do with the remaining rubber is fold it in half. Cut it in half, and then again on the front and the back V shape, and you must make sure that you push it right into the corner here before you do the next corner, otherwise you'll find that it'll keep coming out. And the best way I've found is just let that stay on there for a little bit. You can see you've got extra length here. Again, so don't start this a little bit up because you've got trimming room, and you can always adjust these before you actually cut them. So just wiggle that on once it's around the corner. Come on, That's it. Once it's around the corner, press it right in, and as you're doing it, okay, so what I now do is, making sure you're pushing down on the rubber, you can just trim the rubber off. Being careful with your fingers. Level with the top of the frame, because you do have a little bit of extra. So making sure now my finger is below where I'm cutting. Actually, I need to cut it this way. Get rid of those bits. Okay, so this is the front of the stand. So you've got a nice space here for a sticker, and the sizes of the sticker will be on the screen. Similarly here, I left this material there so you could put a sticker there as well. So that's that. Now the reason for the tubes are, when you've got your hex drives, you just slide your hex drives up the tubes. I've only got 3, I don't know where my 4th one is, but if you've got a different screwdriver, you can slide them up the tubes. And I found having the rubber tubes easier, because once it's located in the hole, it's going to automatically locate the second hole, and if you've got extra long hex drives, you'll find the 3rd hole and even the 4th hole if it comes out there. So that was the idea of the rubber tubes. So now, so we got the bike stand. This is the dual bike stand. So the RC bike on its, with its bodywork on, sits here, and the idea of the rubber strips is to stop the bike sliding and to protect your nicely painted body kits, although you paint them from the inside, I believe, from being scratched. And the rear wheel of the bike would sit here, of the other bike would sit here. So now we've got the tyre warmer module, so we're going to retrofit this. So making sure it is up the correct way, you can slide it through to about this position, making sure that the clip's on the right way. So this is the front section. So in the 35mm section, which is the middle, you're going to slide you're going to I need to lift that up a little bit. Come on. Right, I think what I've got to do, let me just, yeah, so slide that through, put the clip on, and the grooves only start from where my thumb is. So you can slide that's it. Okay, that's one side on. Okay, and now probably do the other side. So the module can still slide all the way forward because of the extra holes we had in the second plate. So it gives you wiggle room to get the other clip on, and this is the harder one to get on. now you just slide them up. And as you're pushing the frame back, you just got to make sure that the end of the warmer module goes through the hole, and there it is. That's retrofitted. So that looks like it's meant to be. So on the back here, the reason for these holes is that you can get small cable ties, 2.5 or 3 mil, and as the wires come into the tyre module through this section, and possibly wires coming out this way to the front of the bike for the tyre warmers, you can cable tie your wires from the module to give them strain relief. So that's the idea of those holes, and that's it. That is the stand complete. There are a range of stands in the series. Let me just pause this video and I'll show you them. So this is a similar type of design, except it hasn't got the tyre warmer module. It still has the well, it will have, this is the early prototype, it will have the large holes all the way through the front and the back plate. There's none in the back plate there for the what are these, hex drivers. So this is the single one, 35mm spaces. It takes a 34.5mm rear wheel. It will have the rubber trims on the bottom to stop it sliding, and then this is an early prototype one again. You can see I only having the smaller holes at the front where I was gluing them on the back, and it's just so fiddly, you know, it's fiddly to glue them. So this is the prototype of the dual inline. So this one holds 2 rear wheels of a motorbike, and it allows you to slip. It will do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tools. I think it will allow you to slip in. So you would have 7 lots of black rubber tubes to thread through. But there you go. So that is me complete for today. Sorry it's been a little while from posting, but things have been rather hectic. So these are radio controlled motorbike stands. If anybody's got any questions or ideas for other stands that you need created or any other project, give me or leave a comment on the bottom of the video, or find my website gaatech.com, and you'll find my email address there. Drop me a line and I see what I can design for you. So that's Andy, another Blue Box series completed. Sorry it's dragged on a little bit, I think that's 40 minutes or so, but it was a step-by-step video. I will produce a PDF, and as I find easier ways, if there is an easier way to assemble these frames, I will update the PDF, which will be available online. So that's Andy signing out for now. Good afternoon.